Alright, so let's get into this solo. So the original track is played in D standard. So what that means is everything on your guitar is tuned down the equivalent of 2 frets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you it in E standard, because most people haven't tuned their guitars down, and then you can tune your own guitar down later and you'll be able to match up with the track. Now this is a brilliant solo. It's got some classic playing in, some great pentatonic ideas, some great classic Metallica licks in there, some of the double stops and stuff like that, as well as some like classic old licks as well. You know, some of the pentatonic sequencing runs that we get are more reminiscent actually of some old Led Zepp tunes. So we're going to get into those as we go, and I really hope you enjoy it. Alright, so I've got my trusty Les Paul here. You can use anything with humbuckers really, but obviously the higher output the better. I'm also using my bridge pickup for this. I broke this solo down into sections to make it a bit easier to work with. So here is section 1. Okay, so here's the first chunk. Alright, so let's go through that. We start off with a slide into a major third at the 12th fret. Now, this most of this solo is actually around an E minor position, which you probably know very well at the 12th fret pentatonic, but actually we're going to start with a major note here. Because it's quite bluesy, even though it's a metal song, you often find a mixture of major and minor thirds. So we're going to start off by sliding into 12 on the B and 13 on the G. And then here's our next phrase. So that was 14 on the A, 12, 14 on the D. And then I'm going to pick this 3 times, and I'm going to use a little first finger to bar across the G and the B string. And then back onto the D at 14. So notice a slight bit of palm mute on that as well. Then we go back to our little bar, and then 14, 12 on the D, 14 on the A. Then this one we're going to do a hammer on pull off on the D, 12, 14, 12, and then re-pick the 12. Okay. Here's our next phrase. We're going to go, so that was 14 on the A, 12, 14 on the D, little bar across the G and B string at 12, back onto the D, 14, 12, 14 on the A, and then hammer on 12 onto 14 on the D. So from the start. Okay, nearly through. Okay, the next phrase then goes like this. This is 11, 12, 11 with a hammer on and pull off on the D string. Then we're going to reach with a pinky to fret 14 on the A, 12 on the A, and then you're going to re-pick the 12 and slide back up to the 14. And then it's the same pattern again, but down another 2 frets. So this time it's a 9, 10, 9, 12 on the A, back onto 9 on the D, and then this time we're going to go 12, 12, 10, 9 on the, and this is all on the A string, and then 10, 12 on the E. And the last 2 notes of the phrase are 9 on the D and then 10 on the A. So here's the whole phrase. Okay, we're going to move on to phrase 2 now. This is probably the scary sounding bit for most people, or one of them. So this is what it's going to sound like. Okay, so I vary whether I use my pinky or my third finger for this. Now what you'll find is most people use their third finger because it's a lot stronger. But my reasoning is the more you use your pinky, the better it gets. You'll hear me say that on a lot of my videos. Obviously, I wasn't born with a great pinky. You know, it's only good because I've given it work to do. So that'll be the same for you. So here's the phrase. Okay, so I'm in E minor still. We're going to bend 14 up on the G string with our third finger. If we're going to go with our pinky on the next bit. The next bit is 12, 15, pull off to 12, and then hammer it back on and pull it off again. Okay, now as I say, if we're going to do it with the other fingers, notice how my hand position changes. If you want to use these fingers, you're actually going to use your second finger for that G string note. It's up to you entirely. You're either going to have to bend with a weaker finger but have a stronger finger for the hammer on pull off fast bit, or you can bend with a strong finger and have a weaker finger for the hammer on pull off fast bit. It's often the case with guitar, you've got multiple choices and neither of them gives you a clear winning option. Okay, so here's the phrase, so it's up with the bend, 12, 15, 12, 15, 12, hammer-ons and pull-offs, then you do it again. Now this time, only one hammer-on and pull-off after the bend, and then again, one hammer-on and pull-off after the bend, and then this time we're just going to walk down the pentatonic, 14, 12, onto the D string, pick it twice. So here it is again. Cool, hopefully you don't find that too bad. The way I would remember it, if you're not too used to this stuff, is you do the hammer on twice, 2 times, and then twice 1 time. So here it is twice. And then this, now we do it again 1 time. And then to finish off the phrase, we're going to go 12, 14 on the D, little bar on the G and B again, back to the D. This time we're going to do a little bar with our third finger across both 14th frets on the G and B, back to our bar again on the G and B, D string 14, 12, A string 14, 12, move back to the 10th fret, still on the A, 10, 12, 10. So we've got like this. And a little bit quicker. Now, on the record, it is very fast. It's going to take some time for you to get that speed for sure if you're not used to these things. Practicing things like this over and over again, probably a really good idea. And from a stamina perspective as well, obviously I'm just talking to you right now, but my pinky's just having a great time, hammering on, pulling off. This is something you want to work on for sure. And you'll find that at first you'll be quite slow and you won't be able to do it very long, and over time you can really start to extend that. What I'd say is, though, don't overdo it, okay? As soon as you start feeling that lactic acid build up, just give your hand a rest and go back to it and just do little chunks, you know, 30 seconds here or whatever you can manage every time you practice, and you'll find that speed starts to come. It won't feel like it will, but what I often find with my students is if something doesn't work straight away, they assume they can't do it. And the reality is some things just take a little bit of time. You have to keep doing them. And 4 or 5 times down the road, suddenly you can do it. And you think, that's not that much, you know. So stick with it. Trust that you will be able to do it. My hands are no different to yours. I've just been playing maybe a bit longer than you. And I've got that, you know, that's already built up for me. But if you stick with it, it'll work, promise. Okay, so on to the third part. This is classic Metallica, double stop bends, and they're quite interesting because normally if you're playing a pentatonic, you're going to have these two notes. But what they often do is actually they play these two notes and they do a bit of a bluesy bend. It's a bit filthy because it's not quite the right notes you want in the key, and that kind of gives you a real nice clashing, biting, aggressive double stop. So here's the phrase. Okay, so let's break that down. As I say, I'm using my third and fourth finger here across both. Some people will probably try and do this with a bar, but actually you'll probably find that harder. It's harder to get leverage and move those fingers with a bar on your third finger, for say. So tuck these in, and what I want you to do, let me try and show you this a bit closer on the camera. I want you to tuck them in together so they're touching. And that way, you can move this whole bit as one single flipper. So it's 3 little bends up and down. And we're going to come off to the 12th fret, little bend across G and B. And it's a pull off. As fast as you can. Then D string fret 14. Okay. Back to the 12 G string and B string. Back to the 14. And then this time a slow up and down. 12, 14 on the D, and back to 12. And again. And then we're going to go just on and off, no bend, 14, 12, and then we go back to the bends on the 14. Up, down, 12, up, down, 12, up, down, 12, up, down, 12, and then just up with a lot of vibrato. So here it is again. And then here's the whole phrase. Great, that's phrase 3 done. On to phrase 4. Okay, so phrase 4 is probably the second part you heard as a wide-eyed kid like me and went, what was that? And actually this is the bit that I was mentioning harks back to kind of classic blues rock a little bit more. So you will see this pattern on a few different Led Zeppelin solos. You see it in some Thin Lizzy, you see it in loads of different places. Pentatonic sequencing, it's the same reason guys like Joe Bonamassa and Eric Johnson, which is where he heard it probably, sounds so crazy. It's because they don't play a pentatonic just up and down, they put little patterns on it. Okay, whether you go up or down, sounds really cool. All I'm doing is making a pattern and applying it to a simple scale. So here's our phrase. Okay, so we're going to do a little slide into the 14th fret on the A string, re-pick it, and then this time we're going to go group of 3 notes, 12 on the D, 14 on the A, 12. And then another group of 3, this time just on the D string, 14, 12, 14. First finger moves down 1, 12 on the G, 14 on the D, 12. And then you guessed it, third finger moves down, 14, 12, 14. So let's have a look at that. Okay. Now this is some classic triplet picking, 1 under, 2 under, 3 under, 4 under. And what that means is, because we're going to alternate pick, the groups of 3 are going to happen like this. Okay. So the first group of 3 is down, up, down. The next one's going to be up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and we're going to continue with that. Now that is going to feel really weird at first if you're not used to alternate picking. If you're good at alternate picking, that will be obvious to you by now, because you realise that your alternation should work with the rhythm, not with what string comes next. Okay, so even though that's probably going to feel like it slows you down in the long run, it's going to give you a lot of speed. Okay, as you can see, my hand's just doing this. If I take my hand away, so this is with the phrase, this is without, I'm just moving it up and down. It's just perfect alternation. So let's continue. We've got to the G string, and then first finger moves down again to the B, 12, 14 on the G, 12 on the B, and then this is where we're going to add in some extra spicy notes. Now these aren't in the pentatonic, these are from the natural minor. Well, it's only one note actually. 13, 12, 13 on the B. And then we're going to go 15, 13, 15 on the B. So, whether you use your pinky for this note or your third finger, I don't mind. So here it is again, slow. On to the last part now. This is quite hard to make out, and if you listen really closely like I've done, you'll find that there's a little bit of an overdub here. So whether he fluffed a take or decided to go back and put this part in, this is the dominant part that you can hear. So here it goes. That's the first bit of it. So I'm on the bottom string, E string, 12, 15, 12, hammer on and pull off, that was. B string, it's the note D, that's why I said D. B string, fret 15, back onto the E string, fret 12. And this time, when we're on that 12, we're going to pick it 3 times. And then this time we put our third finger down on the 15 on the E, pick, pull off, re-pick the 12. So it's a group of 3 notes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm picking down, pull off, up, down, pull off, up. Okay. Pick, pull off, pick, pull off, pick, pull off. Okay, here's the whole little bit there. Okay, with the big run. And then to finish off, we're going to pick the 15 and pull off once more. 15 on the B. Pull off to 13 this time. 12 on the G. Back onto the B string. 13, 15. And then we go 15, pull off to 13 on the B. G string 14 still. 13, 15 on the B. So here we go. One more time. And then to finish off, you're going to bend that 15th fret on the B up, and as you do it, we're going to really tuck our little finger in here, and your little finger's going to stay still, fret 15 on the E, and pick it 3 times. Okay, so here's the whole last phrase. And here's a whole run through the solo. Great, I hope you enjoyed that. Good luck pulling it all together. And don't forget, if you're going to play along with the original track, you're going to want to detune everything by a tone to D standard. Great, see you next time.